So I'm thinking to myself, Italian plumber from Brooklyn, get out of my face, I'm wicked here. Okay, who wants to do that for 8 hours a day, talking to people? And I thought, also, what if they're children? I don't want to make them scared. But I had done Gremio in Taming of the Shrew. This is why Mario is actually based on Shakespeare, as all things are, right? You know, he was a nice Italian guy. This was the day when I was so young, I had to crinkle my face to draw in wrinkles. Don't have that problem anymore. So I thought, well, I'll do that voice, I'll make it younger, but I know nothing about video games except bong, 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 sound I heard the most, and the other sound I heard the most. And I thought, I'll make up things about food, because obviously I love food. And I hear action, and I turn to the camera and said, hello, I'm Mario. Let's make a pizza pie together. You go get some sausage, I'm gonna get some spaghetti. We put spaghetti and sausage in the pizza. And then I chase with the pizza. And if I catch with the pizza, you gotta eat the pizza. Then you make a pizza. And you gotta chase. He didn't say stop. So I thought, well, don't stop. That was my only direction. So I kept going, like that. Hey, we're gonna make a lasagna. I'm gonna chase you down the mountain with a lasagna pan. I catch you lasagna, you gotta eat the lasagna. Then you're gonna make a lasagna. And I just went through every single pasta I could ever imagine. And then I ran out of them, so I'm like, and then we're gonna make a rasta tutto lotello. It's a great pasta. I'm gonna make a rasta tutto lotello, chase you with the rasta tutto lotello, and then you gotta eat the rasta tutto lotello, and then you gotta make it. And I just kept going and going and going. Because I'm a brat. If you tell me don't stop, I will never stop. Until I heard, stop talking. Cut, there's no more tape. Thank you, we'll be in touch. Which I thought was the goodbye there, folks. But it wasn't. That was the start of an amazing adventure 34 years ago. So there it is. The next day I was on a plane to Los Angeles getting fitted with these points and a hockey mask so I could look terrifying and move my face and the character moving, and there the rest is history. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. It is amazing. But it just goes to show, I think I've done 4,000 acting jobs in my life. And one that hit the ball out of the park. It was the Grand Slam, And so really, if I can do that, you can do that. You can hit the ball out of the park or hit the touchdown or whatever you hit or whatever you score. You can do it, And it starts with caring about yourself. My credo in life is love yourself enough. Develop enough love and self-esteem. Self-esteem being the love you earn from your kindness toward yourself. That you develop that trust that you create with people that you love the most. Develop that sense of caring and gentleness. Because we all talk to ourselves in a way that we would never allow anybody else in the world to talk to us. So we need to quiet that voice and replace it with a voice of respect and love. Because that's what we deserve. That's my acting
voiced many characters over the years. Did you run through some others that you thought were going to be the next Mario, the next big thing?
No, once I got Mario, I hung my star on Mario. I did that first. The job was a one-off, and I went, this is really fun, and I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And I worked hard to convince the company that I was the guy that should stick around.
They've donned you as the official Mario ambassador.
And now ambassador, diplomatic immunity. Do you remember that? Did anybody see that movie? It's before most people's time here, but what was it called? It was Danny Glover and Lethal Weapon 2. Thank you. Wow. Diplomatic immunity.
That would have been interesting to see Mario and Lethal Weapon 2. That would have played out. Right. He could have been the villain in a movie.
Could have been, could have been. Yeah.
You did some live acting as well once upon a time, is that true?
Yes, I did 10 years of theater. I did like 75 plays. Went to school at the Drama Studio of London with Sir John Gielgud was our patron. And his direction in life was, acting is simple. Say the words and don't hit the furniture. I've succeeded in that. Well, although occasionally I have to confess, you get excited in the booth, you whack the microphone, you go, I meant to do that, except for the boom that comes with it.
Well, we have a lot of people here, and I'm sure some of you have some questions that you would like to ask. We've got a mic set up here.
Ask me. Obviously, I can't talk about the film or the future or things that I'm involved in. Aside from that, I can tell you what kind of toast I like. No, go ahead. That's, you know, okay, that's, just speak loudly and I'll hear you and I'll repeat.
I got two questions. The first one might be the one for you to answer. Out of all the video games, what's your favorite Mario game that you voiced, and what was the
Oh my goodness. Well, what is my favorite video game of all the games? I'm in 169 Mario games. So it's kind of hard to say, oh, that's my, you know, who's your favorite child, you know? Yeah, I love them all. Mario Teaches Typing was a significant game for me because even though it wasn't a Mario title, I went in and the script said things like, you know, you failed, go back to the beginning and try again. You have to get better to get to the next level. And I read that and I said, do you mind if I change the wording a little bit? You know, because I didn't want Mario to be the one that says no and is sort of like punishing the people when they do. So I said, the producer said, sure, go ahead. I said, well, that was great, but I know you can do even better. Let's go again. Yahoo! To be encouraging. And that taught me that character so much, as much as talking and improvising. Improvising gave me the words, but that gave me the heart of the character, to be kindness. And Mario, to me, is everything that I want to be as a man, as a human. You know, loving, caring, respectful, optimistic, courageous, you know, trustworthy, always honoring, always intimate, you know, and loving. And, you know, these things, these characteristics are so important to me. I'm much more Luigi, terrified, running in fear, full of anxiety, but I try to summon the courage when I can. And I didn't work with Chris Pratt, never met the man. But thank you very much for asking. Oh, Scott Burns said hello to me, and hello, Scott Burns, wherever you are. Lousy. Hi.
I'm Denham.
Hi, Denham.
I've always just wanted to ask, have you ever been to Nintendo World?
I haven't been there yet, but I'm going. I'm going to go to the one in Orlando for sure. Thank you very much. Thank you. I hope you went. I hope you loved it.
Hello,
Hi.
my name is Kiana, and my question for you is it true that you know Spanish, French, and a little bit of Italian?
Yes, I know Spanish, French. My mom and dad, my dad worked for Cashapp Refractories, and we moved over to Spain. We were supposed to move to Belgium, but my dad likes fishing and hunting and doesn't like rain. So we did not live in Belgium. We moved to Barcelona instead. So I speak Spanish, but in those days, Franco was the dictator, and Catalan speaking from Catalonia, that province, was illegal. So I only know like, com vols les esquís, 69%. You know, that's the only Catalan I know because it was illegal. But I do speak Spanish, Castilian Spanish. And then we moved to France, Paris, and my dad was French, so I had to make sure I learned it well. And then I speak enough hackneyed Italian for people to say, I understand you, but I don't know why. Because, you know, when you speak a language, you think in the language, right?
Yeah.
So I think in Spanish, or I think in French, and I try to think immediately in Italian, and I think I'm thinking in Italian, but I'm thinking in France, Spanglish, English, Italian, America, you know? So I just substitute French words with an Italian pronunciation or Spanish words, and people know, I know exactly what you're saying, but I don't know why I know, but yes. Yes, so yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So does that mean you got to voice Mario in some other languages as well?
You know, you know that film that came out? I did the character that said, that was perfect. I did that in 42 languages, and I did the dad scenes in, I think, 8 languages.
Does this work?
Yes, it
Let's get nice
does.
and close.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, Vivian.
My question is, I read it somewhere online. I don't know if it's true though. Is it true that during the recording sessions of Mario Kart Wii, you
I no. We never played. When they when you record a game, there can be as little as some script. There can be script with video to it, or script with only photos to it. So you know, sort of like this is the action that's going to happen. But you never actually play and interact with the game. You get to see videos or movies.
No, sorry, man.
So you know when he goes hop hop wahoo, you go hop hop wahoo. You can go oh, because you know that's with the mouth that's moving, or that's what's happening. You see him falling ah. You know you have that time. So you learn in dubbing to do things by time. I did a Dragon Ball Superhero and some Dragon Ball things, and I gained complete respect for these anime actors who are incredible. They sit there, you know, because Japanese might be, and the Italian might be, you know, the American might be, well, that was great, but my name is really not that, you know. And you have like flop, 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 and they somehow got to get that whole line in there. And these actors can do it. It's just genius. I was terrible at it, but my friend Chris Sabat was gracious enough to say, no, that was good. And we had an engineer named Raleigh who was so brilliant, he could take my complete fumbling of a line and make it not only make sense, but fit it somehow in that character that says, bring back the Red Ribbon Army! Unbelievable, really unbelievable. Thank you very much. Oh, bless you, thank you very much. I certainly just try to have fun, that's all. Hi.
Hello, my name is David.
Hi, David.
First of all, I want to say I respect all of your work with Nintendo, but out of my own personal interest, I want to ask a question about Skyrim.
Sure, Skyrim.
I hear a rumor that you voiced the Super Dragon.
Yes.
Parthenax.
Party snacks.
And,
It's about Parthenax.
yeah, and I'd like to ask a quick question. Like,
Sure.
that character is very philosophically intriguing and deep to it. Did you have to bring yourself to a certain place to make that kind of key voice for that character?
You know, you just get a script and you audition for it. And the key direction there was, it's not the usual dragon. That was my direction. And so, amazing, that was the one that, in those days of auditioning, I used to have a microphone, a sub-mic, a woofer, and, you know, all these preamps and stuff going into my computer, and it didn't work, the software didn't work. So I used GarageBand on Apple, which is the only time in my life I ever used it. And I just, you know, took the voice down here and tried to reach into the microphone, through the microphone into the person that I was talking to, because I'm a big believer in the technique of speaking directly to one person. And it's a great lesson for everybody in acting, for anybody that is an actor. Acting is like a dog chasing a ball on the beach. They don't think about how they look, how they sound, how they run. They think, ball, 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 and they go get the ball. And that's what you do as a character. You learn as an actor how to create character arc and character drive and la-da-da-da-da, transition, da-da-da, all that stuff. You get to an audition, throw it all away, and do it. You know, because if you can say, try new Clorox bleach. And if you're sitting there thinking, I gotta make bleach stand out and Clorox to be clear, you will never get the job. But if you're being authentic and you say, try Clorox bleach, that can give you the job. But you have to stop, and it's the same thing in life. When you're looking at yourself, doing something, when you're editing your soul and your heart, doing it to try to get love, to try to get a date, to try to get whatever it is you're trying to get, you will struggle with it. But when you free yourself enough and care for yourself enough to just be that moment, and that's what an actor does. He suspends everything outside, including his own disbelief that he is that person, and reaches in to do it. And that's what I did. You know, what is a dragon? What is a dragon? Well, it's in my heart that contact of being an enormous, horrifying, scary thing that isn't. And so playing that opposite, I can intellectualize that for days, or I can just let everything go and just be that. And so that's what it was to me. It's like, shed it and just do it. Now, mind you, these writers wrote an entire language called Dragon Speech, as you know, right? So, and for the first time and only time in my life, just about, except doing some anime dubbing, it's like it was on TV screen. So I would like flash, the sentence would be there, then flash, the next sentence would be there, and so all this dragon speech is there, which I've never done before. I'm not a dragon. I'm not a dragon. I don't speak dragon. And all of a sudden it's, and then go down to the Throgmalok to get to the Flugel of Harkar. And I would go there and I would say that, and I'll cut, I think that's not a Fragmalok, it's a Thragmalek. Right? And then go down to the Fragmalek, or go to, and hang on a second, we better call the writers, the guy that did it. Is it a Fragmalok or a Fragmalek? Oh, it's actually a Fragmalik. Now I've got 3 of these flying around my head, and then the next line is going to come out of that. And so I would go, and then go down to the fragment, and constantly playing Santa Claus. Just not, but then you make through there, and it's wonderful fun. And I'm glad you enjoyed that game. It was a real treat doing that. Every job I ever did, it's the same thing. Hey, we got some new toys. Want to come down to the sandbox and play? So that's my life. Or we got a new ball. Go get it. Thank you. Thank you. I try to make my answers more concise because I can see there are a lot of people. Hi, Will. Strangest official line? Never anything strange at all. Everything was always natural, It's like, I came up with the idea of have a Mario day, every day is a Mario day, things like that. Everything was, the thing is, it's so wholesome, and that was the key to me. That's what I keyed into, that wanted to make sure it was totally wholesome always, and they always honored that in every single game and every single thing, all the way through, And I'm very grateful for that, and I think that's one of the reasons of the longevity of Nintendo games, Mario games in particular, is if you play the very first game and the most recent game, things can change, but you'll always know it's a Mario game. Thank you. Thank you. That was more concise.
How you doing, Charles?
Hi, great. How are you?
You've gotten to work with a lot of great voice actors for the past 30 plus years. Who has been the most talented you've worked with and the most favorite you've worked with?
I never work with voice actors. I got to tell you, when you do the stuff that I do, you go into an isolation booth and it's just you. You're the drummer of the band. It's just that's just the way it is. Yeah. I did do some commercials, and I did RuPaul. I did a couple of commercials with RuPaul, and she was tremendously talented. That was fun. But other stars. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to be sitting there thinking, who's a celebrity there? Hi. Hi, Hunter. Hi. Sure. Hola, soy yo, Super Mario. ¡Woohoo! Tú eres número 1. ¡Yahoo! Gracias. Muchas gracias. Encantado. Thank you. It's better in English if you can, because then everybody understands. That was a request for me to say something in Spanish, by the way. Ergo. What inspired me to do Mario? How was he born? Dinero. Trabajo. Seguridad. you know, when you're an actor, you just try for everything. You know, you try for everything. And I say I've done 4,000 jobs. You know, commercials and corporate videos, corporate voiceover, theater works, you know, live presentations. You know, I used to do ear-prompted things, you know, inside the Amdahl 4868 multi-processing computer, there are 48 vector RAMs, not knowing anything of what I was talking about, but being the presenter. So you just try everything. And when Mario came along, I fell in love with the character as soon as I was doing it. And I thought, in that moment, I will want to do that forever. Thank you. Recommended todo. Say Mario. Okay. Hi. Hi, Jesse. Thank you. Yes, doing Mario. Mario's voice doing. The backflip long. Backward long. Can I have a little clue? Yahoo! Like that? Yahoo! Well, that's abstract. I have never been requested that before. No. No, and I'm not good enough to find that sort of stuff on my own. I can always find out the princess is not in this castle. And I leave it to my... Oh, no, don't record it, because we don't record all that stuff. This is kind of like private between all of us right here. But thank you. Thank you. You bet. Thank you very much. Hi there. Sure, anywhere you want. Hi there. Nice hat, bro. Have I played any Mario games? Yes, I've probably played about 60 of them. Not very well, any of them. I've never beaten a game all the way through. But I did have one experience when we did the Mario Galaxy. I was on Swedish, I think it was television, live. And they said, young Pinimini, you say you play these games, we want to see if you can do it. And and they gave me the control, and I'm like, and I have no idea how, I channeled the inner Mario, and I made it through that level, sweating like, beep, 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 red line, red line, red line. But I made it through that level, so yes, I play Mario games. How about you? Yes? What's your favorite? Mario Maker 2, fantastic. I'll bet you make very hard levels. I make levels, when I did Mario Maker, I made it so that I filled in all the holes, and every single block I made a point. So you bing, 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 and everything at the bottom were springboards. And then I put the ladder going up to the top of the flagpole. So just like life, you can't lose. Thank you, man. Thank you very much. And thank you for playing my games. Hi.
Talking about
Yes.
the curious, what kind of pasta
But I love every single type of food I've ever had in my life, except the Chinese takeout where it sits in a dish for several hours. I'm just not into it, and I don't like a sweet and sour to look sort of like neon. But aside from that, I love every type of food. Oysters on the hot shell. But pasta, I'm sitting here, my brain is stuck on orecchiette, the one that looks like a ear. But there was one that I had just the other night that I just love. It's a thick spaghetti noodle with a hole in the middle. I can't remember what that's called. Anybody? Manakoti. Just to let you know, as you get older, it's this really great thing. There's so many wonderful things about aging, I can't even begin to tell you. One of the things you lose is the high pitch, like you say man, and that first man, and it's particularly the letter S, like, what's your name, Sarah? Hera? You know, it's just marvelous. It's just one more source of great embarrassment. Sorry, is it Manakoti? I don't think it was good. I've got to start this. Bocatini, that's it, Bocatini. Yeah, it's fantastic. I love that. There's just something about, you know, and when you're in Italy, they make it al dente that's just perfect. It's just, I don't know, I can't do that. But I enjoy traveling to find people. You guys know my favorite pasta? Yes. Yeah, everything. I love all pastas. I love going to Italy and tasting the pasta in different places of Italy. It's just unbelievable.
Squid again?
I love squid. That in Spain is like fantastic. You go to Galicia, or you go to Barcelona, the things cooked in their own heat. Unbelievable, fantastic. Rice, you know, they have the paella, the cooked in squidding, fantastic. Yeah, love it. Never met a food I didn't like. Thank you very much. Now I'm starving. I am just like Pavlov's dog, honestly. Hi.
Hi, so we all know how you came up with your Mario voice. I was wondering, how did you come up with your Waluigi voice?
Waluigi voice. Well, you know, I walked in the door to a session, and I think it was Mario Tennis or Mario Golf, and you know, and the producer goes, "Oh, so we have a character. Can you put a voice to this guy?" And I look, and you know, he's like this, and he's moving around. And they showed me like these movies, these characteristics, and I just, he's the nemesis of Luigi. So, Mario's falsetto, mamma mia, and Wario, the opposite, going the other way. Where Luigi up here, the nasal. So when Luigi's shoving that nasal down, so I just went, and it just came to mind. They went, yeah. So that's what we did, yeah. And Luigi, I will tell you how I did Luigi, because to me it's ridiculous. I don't know if it translates, but we were doing a Walmart tour. Not only did they embrace Mario, but they said, well, let's make it mobile. Well, in those days, we used a supercomputer the size of a refrigerator with dry ice on it because the numbers would crunch so much that the heated thing would overheat. So we had this little van, and they would drive, and I'd fly home, and I'd meet them at the next Walmart opening. And I fly in, and of course we're out in the tent in the parking lot, and kids walk up and they, hi Mario, how are you? Oh, hello, I'm doing great, thanks. How are you doing today? Nice hat, I love the hem, And I'd sit there talking, and inevitably somebody would say, hey Mario, can I please talk to your brother Luigi? Well, of course, this was like $1 million thing. We didn't have a Luigi, we had a Mario, And so I'm sitting there going, uh-oh. So I said, well, I'll ask him, but he's in the kitchen making spaghetti meatballs, I think. And besides, he's pretty shy. And I'd turn the head this way, and I just decided I would make this off-camera world. And I'd say, hey, Luigi! And everything was connected to my mouth, so I couldn't move my mouth. So I'd say, yeah, what do you want? And then, oh, my friend here wants to say hello to you. Can you come out and say hello? No, tell him I'm in the kitchen making spaghetti meatballs. Besides, I'm too shy. Oh, he says he's in the kitchen making spaghetti meatballs. Besides, he's too shy. And I would notice that when I would turn that way, because I'm just doing a hand control, I'm still looking at them, all these wonderful little children's faces would go, like a tennis game. And I'm like, oh, this is too good to pass up. Let me ask my mama if she'll come out. Hey, mama! Everybody looked that way. And then back to Luigi, and then over to Papa, and then back to Luigi. So I had this little game going, which was immensely amusing to me. But that's how Luigi got his voice. I don't know.
Thank you so much.
Life is silly, let's face it. I get too serious. And my big one criticism of myself is I'm too much down on myself, and I'm too serious, and I have too much anxiety. Okay, the three things. But it's like, goodness gracious me, lighten up and enjoy it. Life is so beautiful, and it's short. I'm quite tall, but life is short. Enjoy it. Be the child that you remember full of joy, where summers are eternal and time is forever. Be that person and make your life special every minute. Hi. Nice hat.
My name is Tommy.
Hi, Tommy.
Everything you were saying about Italy connected with me because I just came back from living in Italy.
Oh, great.
Funny enough, where the Italian flag was born in the north.
Oh,
Near me and all that stuff.
Hello.
Thank you so much for saying that.
yeah. Are you anybody hearing that? He just came back from Italy, living in Bologna, where the flag was created, and he loved living in Italy. I think you have to speak more into that. Yeah. You can just pick it out of there. Or...
There we go. Well, my question to you is, first of all, thank you for bringing that amazing energy, that Italian-American energy. to the
Sure.
character. My question is more on the Japanese side. So my question is, what was your experience knowing and working with Shigeru Miyamoto? And what has he said to you about your vision for the character, for the characters that you create?
That's a lovely question. You know, Mr. Miyamoto, he doesn't like work with the voice talent. He leaves the direction to other things because he's created them. He's a master creator. But he's the most wonderful, kind, loving man ever. Very, very humble. I mean, you think of how much change of life and futures and, touches hearts, the touchings of heart. And he's just a guy, And he's super sweet. And, I would always, every time I see him, I say, is everything okay? He's very, very nice, He's such a marvelous man, And theoretically, he doesn't speak English, So he does all of his interviews in Japanese. Except when then somebody's like, he has a translator, and sometimes he corrects the translator. So, but he's a wonderful man. Really. What a dream, what a vision. And there's that magical child, and that's the inspiration for me to find that inner child, that magic. Thank you. And by the way, just to clarify, it's me, Mario, not Itsame Mario. Hi.
My question is,
In which one?
in
My favorite moment. That's, when I'm working, I'm present in every moment because I can't let a drop of water go out. You have to contain the character. So I can't really answer that because I can tell you there are moments where you just go, I love my life. It's so fun for me. But that is a constant because I just love acting. I love voiceover work. I love being in that studio, creating and seeing the image and bringing that to life and bringing the joy and the love and the happiness and the optimism right into the moment. So I would have to say every single one of them. Thank you. Yeah, that's not work when you're doing that, is it? Hi. Yeah.
So, I wanted to ask a question about just how did you develop Mario's voice? Basically, is there a story behind that?
Well, there's always a little story about something. I was doing the Mario real time. And then one day there was Wario. I walked into the Consumer Electronics Show and there's Wario, and it's like the guy had a mustache that was very much like a friend of mine that worked at Nintendo at the time, his mustache. And so I based the character sort of on him. I think he knows that. I hope he knows that. Yeah, that was it. I just, did that. We also, we had Mario in real time, Mert. We had Wario in real time, Wirt. And then one day I went in and there was Donkey Kong in real time, Dirt. So I did Donkey Kong in real time and did Donkey Kong in, I think, Mario Kart 64 and something. It's just been one gift after another. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sad to say we're running a little low on time, so this will probably be our last
Oh, okay.
question here.
Let me just try to see if I can go really fast.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Alex.
Hi, Alex.
And I wanted to ask you probably about the most obscure Mario content out there. So, this is not a Mario game that you voiced in. I did not believe. But are you aware of the very famous Philips CDI game Hotel Mario?
No, you know, all I know is it was terrible. That's really all I know, you know. Like the first Mario movie, you know, I never really had the great enjoyment of that one, but yeah.
Not very good.
Yeah. But thank you for asking. Yeah, no, I didn't really.
Oh, before I go, can I just get a very nice "You're lousy" in Waluigi's voice?
Do I say that in the game?
He does say that in the
Yeah.
game.
You're lousy.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go. Thank you very much. Okay, one quick one.
What was your favorite Luigi's Mansion?
But favorite that Mario, I'm coming. Thank you all very much. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you. And thank you for playing my game. Yippee!